Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered this evening to mourn the death of Gregory Clark and to celebrate and honor his life. We come together in a spirit of love, healing, gratitude, and remembrance. Tonight, we're going to go on a journey. This journey is the process of discovering the beautiful design of this man's life, a life which reached out and touched us all in some way. When we all bear witness and fellowship with others to memorialize a life, it's a sacred journey. And so, I humbly ask the Spirit to enter this secular space and transform it into a sacred space. We send the sound of our voices as a heartfelt offering and welcome to you, Great Spirit. We ask you to come and bear witness in the fullness of all that you are, all the names you are known by: God, Jehovah, Jesus, Yahweh, Holy Spirit, Allah, Olodumare, and many more. And we ask you to help us open our hearts and minds to the enrichment that this journey provides. As many of our ancestors once did, I ask all of our ancestor spirits to gather here with us. And I invite one of our newest ancestors, Gregory Russell Clark, to come and bask. Come, Gregory, and bask in the love we have for you. Feel free to join the voices. Hum along. Hum along. Singers, can you take us to our final words of praise? First will be a slideshow, Gregory Russell Clark, growing up in Kansas City, and then we'll have a speaker, Marty Fairchild Escalante.
Byron Clark, Greg's brother, remembers that when Greg was really little, he was inquisitive and well-behaved. He liked sketching, collecting comic books such as X-Men and Fantastic Four, reading science fiction books, and playing board games.
Your heart to someone, hoping they give their heart to you. make every dream come true.
As he got older, he became adventurous, humorous, an academic high achiever, and an avid reader of GQ. Greg wanted to be a fashion designer. Greg discovered the performing arts after participating in a high school production of Guys and Dolls. Greg had immense respect for my dad. My dad was always in Greg's corner. My dad never put any pressure on his children. He accepted and loved them unconditionally. My dad is a great cook, and Greg followed in his footsteps.
The fool thinks he's wise, and so before
I view Greg as a life coach because he was a good listener and would always offer honest recommendations. Greg would say, "Go see my dermatologist Rose and let her hook your skin up." When you were down, Greg would say, "You have to pull it up," which means stop complaining and move forward. I never found Greg having a pity party. Instead, he always focused on the prize. Here are some remembrances from Greg's childhood friend, Andre Tyrone Ashby. I met Greg in 1984. We both were members of the gospel group Joy Unlimited. It was his senior year in high school. Greg and I became fast friends, and I really became a part of the Clark family, spending many holidays with them. Greg was my best friend for 28 years, really more like my brother than just a friend. He was intensely loyal. Greg credited his success to his mother. Often he would say to me how much of an inspiration she was, motivating him to not settle for mediocrity. She wanted more from him than just what was expected of a little black boy from Kansas City. Greg honored his mom often, saying how he appreciated all of her hard work. Also, her ability to encourage him towards excellence was invaluable to him. Mrs. Clark was Greg's biggest cheerleader, supporting him in all of his endeavors. Greg's intense loyalty, his strength of character, and his go-getter attitude were all things instilled in him by his mom. I have so many memories flooding my mind right now. Like when I bought my first car and Greg and I put 10,000 miles on it one summer just running back and forth to the mall. Yes, we both love to buy clothes. Also, the time when a bee got in my car and we both jumped out, letting the car roll down the street by itself.
I know I've gotta let you go, and it may take some time, I know. I'll wait until that great day when I'll find that love is in my life again. But until then,
Even though in the last few years, Greg and I didn't get to see each other very often, because I was busy traveling around doing ministry and he was busy with music, when we did connect, it was as if no time had passed and we picked up right where we had left off. Though I miss you greatly, my friend, I am encouraged because I know this is not the end, and one day we will meet again and it will be as if no time has passed. We will pick up right where we left off. Until that day, I will carry you in my heart.
Time to let go, I gotta say. I know it's time to let go, I gotta say. I know it's time to let go, I gotta say. Goodbye.
I'm Marty Fairchild Escalante, and I am a friend of Greg's from Kansas City. And I wanted to thank Greg's family, friends, and his partner, Matt, for organizing this event for us to honor him. I know Greg's here with us and is smiling, knowing that all of his people are here together. And he may also be smiling with anticipation, knowing that I may break down like a fool any second and make a scene. When I'm driving to work in the mornings, sometimes I talk to Greg. I live in Kentucky, so I have to drive an hour to work. And one particular morning, I was crying a little bit and feeling guilty about how I couldn't get to Kansas City for his memorial service. And I was saying things like, well, you know, Greg, you know, things like that happen. Like, you know how you couldn't make it to my wedding? And I heard his voice say, are you seriously trying to compare your trifling little wedding to my funeral? So I'm here to tell you that Greg will still cut you, okay? So I met Greg in 1987. I was 18 and he was 19. And it was my first day of college at UMKC at the conservatory. And we were both riding the little conservatory bus. And he had a jerry curl, and I had a mullet. And we took to each other right away and became fast friends. We were both voice majors at the conservatory, and we were both very involved in the vocal jazz choir, and Greg and I were dangerous. If someone got called on to scat and it was less than stellar, and we made eye contact with each other, it was over. We would laugh and run out of the room, and for days would mock that person. Not to their face, it was private. It was private. And I just will never forget the look he would get on his face when someone would sing out of tune. It was just priceless. So my freshman year, Greg and I were inseparable. We loved each other and we enjoyed each other so much that at one point we even sat down and had a discussion about dating. That never got beyond the planning stage, and we quickly settled into this friendship that spanned decades. He was always quick to let people know how long we had been friends and that he knew me like nobody else knew me. And it was a friendship to be proud of, and we were very proud of our friendship. Some of my favorite and random memories of Greg are how irritated he would get when people would jump the gun on their clothing choices during a particular season. That didn't start in New York, that's from Kansas City. For example, if people were wearing shorts when it was 40 degrees outside, or coats and scarves when it was 60 degrees. It was very irritating to him. And he was always very well moisturized. He always got in my car in Kansas City, immediately pulled out his lotion, and applied it as we drove and laughed and talked. And he always had something to put in the CD player as soon as he hopped in. This is hot, and he'd put it in, and I'd have to listen to some new music either he sang or he had found. When he got his first big job singing background for Alita Adams, it was very exciting. And when he told me he was moving to New York City, I was so happy for him, but it was a sad day for me to see him go, because I still lived in Kansas City at that time. For my birthday in March this year, he sent me a video on Facebook of a woman singing Happy Birthday and getting so filled with the Spirit that she started singing it in tongues. One of our last exchanges was over that video. We talked about all the laughs we'd had over the years, and I said, "I love you, my friend," and he said it back. So as far as men go, I've had 3 great loves in my life. My dad, and my husband Roosevelt, and Greg. It's so sad for me to say goodbye to him, but I'm so happy for him that he was right in the middle of living the life he had dreamed and prayed for. And I thank God for putting Greg Clark in my life, and I will carry him in my heart forever. I love you, Greg.
And now, in celebration of Greg's professional career in New York, we have Aisha DeHaas, Lisa Fisher, and Martha Redbone Wendell Haynes, and Tim Kay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Aisha DeHaas, and even though I was born here, Lower East Side, my parents were both in showbiz, and Dad got a gig in Chicago in 1968, so off we went. And I've been moving back to New York ever since. It took longer than I had imagined, but I finally got back in 1997, about the same time that Greg moved here from Kansas City. I met him in 1998 at the Duplex down on Christopher Street. Bunch of us theater folk used to hang out down there and sit in and talk loud and lie, you know, how you do. And when we realized we had both come in from the Midwest, we had big laughs about the fake-ass winter that had just passed here in New York City. And people were, ooh, it's cold. Yeah. We smirked about the winters, you know, up until 2 years ago. That winter 2 years ago, y'all got it that time, but yeah. So we're out here, we're doing our thing. I had booked my first Broadway show, and Greg had booked a gig downtown at a place called Spy Bar. I don't know how many people know it. The Spy Bar is gone now, but back then it was a hot spot. And he had booked a gig with the house band, and they sang every Friday night. And he sang along with Jason Page and Carpathia Jenkins. And it was a great time. You know, one of those places you had to stand in a line to get in and all of that. So he was really doing his thing. And then Olita Adams called Greg. Now, I knew that Greg had been singing with her for 2 years previous to his moving to New York City. But she called him one day and asked him to put together a group of 3 to back her up at a festival in New Jersey. We did our first gig together in August of 1998. Me, Greg, and Jason Page. And after 2 years, Jason left. He moved to LA, doing his thing. He's singing with blood, sweat, and tears now, but we had a great time. We went to Harlem, we crisscrossed the states, and when he left, Carpathia Jenkins joined us, who sends everyone her love. She's got a show tonight, so she's not here. But the 3 of us then went on for the next 10 years to sing backing vocals for Olita. And we had a great time. And we really became a family. We would laugh until, you know, we were choking. Well, it was a good hang. And you all know that Greg loved a good hang. When we played Kansas City, and there was a picture there, because Everett was getting his potato salad, there was a picture there. We played Kansas City, Greg's mom and daddy would cook. And I know you all have heard about the Gates barbecue, and it's good and all of that, and it is. But Daddy's ribs gave Gates a run for their money. Let me just say that. The wealth of people and experiences that Greg brought into my life is a gift. Now, one of those people that I met through Greg, Bimshi Shira Jones, she said something to me in a conversation not too long ago. We were talking, and she said, we've inherited each other. Greg's friends. We've inherited each other. Greg knows that when I see him again, I'm going to slap him in the back of his neck. But it'll be a love tap. I love you, Greg.
Hey, y'all. Good evening.
I remember tears streaming down your face when I said I'd never let you go. When all those shadows almost killed your life. I remember you said, don't leave me here alone. But all that's gone and past. Tonight, just close your eyes. You'll be all right. Come morning light, you and I'll be safe and sound. Don't you dare look out your window, darling, there's a fire outside. The war outside your door keeps raging on. Hold on to this lullaby, even when the music's gone. Just close your eyes, the sun is going down. You'll be alright, no one can hurt you now. Come morning light, you and I'll be safe and sound. Just close your eyes. You'll be alright. Come morning light, you and I'll be safe and sound. Ooh.
I am Wendell Haynes, a composer, work for Volition Sound Branding, which Greg was an everyday employee of. Many of you may not have known that because me and Greg kind of kept that to ourselves, but he worked every single day for Volition in some manner, whether it was singing on a project, contracting vocalists, doing contracts for everybody, filling out AFM forms for us, and just in general keeping us in the loop. And Greg had 4 quotes. I would say he had 4 phrases that he would say at some point in every session that we worked in. Because we worked on, I would say Craig and I worked on 100 spots, at least. Some we won, some we lost, but it didn't matter. Because Greg was the type of person that enjoyed the process of whatever was going on. And even as a composer, where I would stress out over a project, like, oh, we gotta win this, we have to win this, this is a big deal, they're gonna pay this money, or they're gonna do this, and it's gonna be on TV, it's national. Greg was all about the national spots. He's like, I called Greg up and I said, oh, Greg, okay, I need you to work on this. He's like, is it local or national? Yeah. You know? Now, that wasn't to say he wasn't gonna do it. That was just so he knew exactly what the deal was, because he was about his money. Greg was about, and why shouldn't he? You know, and we were all about the money. But like I said, Greg had 4 quotes, and I typed in my phone, but a couple of them I know off the top of my head. The first one was, he would come in the studio, because he'd always be there before any other singer came. And I would play him the track. And Greg was almost like my marker of how good the track was. So I would play the track. The first thing Greg would say is, now that's hot. That's hot right there. That's fire. That's fire. That was one of his first things. Then as the singers would come into the studio, and we would start to get into the whole process of recording everything, and somebody would hit a wrong note, at some point he would say, don't make me throw these hot grits on you. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking to the mic. Yeah, he said, don't make me throw these hot grits on you, man, you know? And Greg was about it, because Greg was my second ear. Like, I would be there, but I would always understand that Greg was there to make sure that everybody was singing the right part, you know? It's always great when you have someone who can make your life easier, you know? And I say, there is no greater key to success than finding the people that you can fit in with to either make their lives easier or find the people who make your lives easier. Because once that takes place, everybody can have success with that. Everybody can be productive. Everybody can feel as though they can relax. The stress is gone. And the thing about Greg was he would make sure that everything came out right. Even when we would I remember we did a spot for Mercedes-Benz, and Greg brought in the heavyweights. I mean, Janice Padarvis was there, Martha Wash was there, Sophia Ramos may have been, I'm trying to remember, but Cheryl Pepsi and Riley was there. There were heavyweights in the room. Now, the thing about commercials is, when it goes on the air, nobody really knows. When you're viewing a commercial, you don't really know who's singing the commercial unless it's a very, very popular voice that everybody can pick out. But the agencies definitely don't know who's singing a commercial. So when we got the call that they did not choose that track, we were like, do you know who sang on this commercial? Greg was like, do you know we blessed you with the cream of the crop. We put it down on this spot. So you know what? I said, all right, Greg, don't worry. All right, we're gonna work this out. But you know, I called Greg the next day, and he didn't pick up the phone. I get his answer machine. Do you know Greg put that jingle on his answer machine? Greg was gonna make sure that jingle was broadcast regardless. Now, one of the things I thought was really, really remarkable was on Facebook, when I saw the amount of people who were replying after everyone heard the news. What was so remarkable was that everybody was saying a lot of the same thing. I can't believe it, number one, of course. But the second thing they were saying was, Greg impacted my life in such a huge way. Now, think about it. You have, I don't know, thousands of people on that Facebook hitting comment after comment, some people putting up 2 and 3 comments, people I knew, some people I had no idea who were, but everybody was making the same comments. And the thing about it that was remarkable was everyone talked as if Greg was their best friend. And that was the key about Greg. Greg made you feel like he was your best friend, you know? He was not the kind of person that was not going to make you feel good, you know? He was not going to sit there and say, you know, all right, you know what? I'm not gonna be your friend because of this. I was at a meeting earlier today with a guy named Chris McHale, and Chris took 5 seconds to tell me a quick story about Greg. He said, you know, I only had one session with Greg, and then one day it was like a year ago, and he said one day I was on the corner and Greg saw me, and he's like, hey, how you doing? Da, 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 da. How you been? Da, da. And he said they ended up spending the rest of the day, like the next 4 hours together, sitting at that restaurant, just because they had that one connection. And the thing about Greg was he made it his business in a very effortless way of connecting people. I mean, who was a bigger connector of people than Greg? I mean, I did not post anything on Facebook at all when it happened. I just couldn't. I didn't know what to say. How do you say this? What's the right thing to say? Everyone was already saying the things that I was feeling. I just didn't know what to say. But how do you say what you need to say? And what I ended up doing was I texted Greg's phone. And I just said something to the effect of, you know, to my great, great friend, Greg, always, I will love you, everyone will love you, and I hope you're seeing all these examples of love on Facebook for you, because this is unprecedented. I never saw that big of an outpour. I didn't know Greg knew that many people, you know? And the fact that he made everyone feel like their best friend, I thought was remarkable. Now, Greg, I wanted to tell you a couple things that Greg said when I asked him to write a couple things for advice for other singers. And these were some of the things. He wrote a chapter basically called The Dues of Being a Singer. And the first one was, do be a great singer. Do be a great musician. Do be versatile. Do learn to sing in other languages. Do be a professional. And do be likable. And the point of that was Greg was likable to so many people. And he knew how to roll with everything. Greg would sit in my kitchen, and we might not even get to the jingle for a good 2 hours, because he's sitting there talking to me about crunchy kale. He's talking to me about gluten-free food. He's checking out my sneakers. I'm checking out his sneakers, you know. And I think in New York, you know, I came in from out of town today, and I came in, and the first thing I noticed was everybody scurrying around, and the noise. It's all loud, because I was coming from the suburbs. And it was loud, and it was rush. Everyone was rushing. Everyone was doing all sorts of things. I'm just like, oh, these people are doing all this stuff. And I thought of it in the bigger perspective, in the fact that I've been in New York for 15 or 16 years, and I've always felt like there's this feeling always that you never arrive. You're never fully satisfied. It's like you heard of the term moving the goalposts. You set one goal, you reach it, but then you almost move the goalpost to, you're looking for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, so you never fully arrive at what you do or want to do in life. And I feel like when I look at New York and everyone's doing something, they always have something else. Now, there's pros and cons to that. It's very motivational. If you want to get to where you're going, you're going to have this, and you're going to have that. You're going to reach this goal, and you're going to be on TV, and you're going to be the producer for Smash, and you're going to be doing this, and all these different things, and it's great, But there's always this, I always felt like there's always this thing where you just never fully feel satisfied, like you can take a break or you can relax, because you feel like, oh, you might lose your spot. Somebody might call someone else. I could miss out on $40,000 because, the Mercedes-Benz commercial might go through. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things. But I feel like if you can laugh every day, you've arrived. I feel like if you can do what you love every day, you've arrived. And that's two things I can say about my great friend Greg. every conversation I had with Greg, he laughed. I laughed. And every day, he was doing what he loved to do. So I want to honor Greg tonight. I thank everybody for coming out. I think it's great. I love the outpour on Facebook. I think this is great what everybody has contributed today. I want to shout out Matt, for having that conversation with me that kind of put things in perspective, because for 2 weeks after Greg's passing, I had severe panic attacks, which I had suffered from earlier in my, when I was younger, and it came back, and, Matt put some things in perspective, and he said, you know what, this is what Greg would say. Greg would say, look, keep it moving. And that's right. I should have said that in one of my first phrases in the beginning, because that was one of the things he would say. Keep it moving, keep it popping, let's go, da-da-da. And I love Greg for that, and the fact that every day I wake up and I work, I think of Greg every day, and I use him as motivation because he is in my corner. So I never look at it as if I'm not seeing Greg again. I look at it as Greg is always right here with me, and we're doing big things. Thank you.
I'm Tim Kvasnowski, friend of Greg's. Sorry, I'm nervous. I'm actually not a performer like everybody else up here. Greg was a consummate professional. He was driven and enthusiastic about every aspect of his career, be it singing, arranging, teaching, writing, networking, or contracting. He loved his work and felt a sense of pride with respect to the accomplishments he had achieved. Everyone knew that he had a natural gift of gab, but that simply helped him to get his foot in the door. His talents did the rest. His actual singing technique was flawless. His vibrato natural and consistent. His pitch and time were world class, but his otherworldly asset was his beautiful Greg Clark tone. Every singer expressed how they blended with Greg, when in reality, it was Greg's voice that melted like hot butter over theirs or anyone's. He had a strong sense of hustle. He single-handedly supported the taxi drivers of New York through the recession. His clients were impressed, amused, and enchanted by him. He always delivered. Most of you know the names of many of the famous people he sang with and the elite venues at which he performed. Today's not their day. Suffice it to say, he earned his place in the ranks of the greats. He was rarely effusive, but when a true talent overwhelmed him, he would express his admiration by threatening to throw his shoe. Smart singers cherished this above all other compliments, as this shoe was akin to a Grammy nod. He was a true night owl. When most people were fast asleep or heading home from a nightclub, Greg was still grinding. In the wee hours, he was up talking to a friend or adding some spice to a Facebook thread. He was always sharp in his own unique way, comfortable in his double XL Under Armour shirts and gym shorts. He was always coiffed and smelled good. He was passionate about laundry and fastidious about his clothes. He loved casual shoes, his Vans, and his array of Nike running shoes. He loved to cook. He was an expert at preparing all sorts of dishes, sneaking healthy substitutions, yet retaining the rich flavor of his Kansas City roots. All out-of-town barbecue that touched his lips paled in comparison to his cherished Gates. And no homecoming was complete without an acquisition of a sweet and tangy flavor bottle. It was sweet and tangy, right? I'm trying to remember, there's like 3 of them. I just went to Kansas City, so. His love for cooking came from his love of eating. He especially loved baked goods, muffins, cookies, cakes, and pastries. Eating with him was entertaining, to say the least. He loved bedding. Bedding, like, sorry, it's a little weird, but he shamelessly relished in the comfort of rich, soft fabric and tirelessly would pursue the ultimate cotton feel. One time, I went with him to West Elm, and literally the manager walked up and it was like, "Hey, Greg." He was a storehouse of information. He could tell you about the latest diet craze, gluten-free recipes, the ins and outs of commercial contracts. He knew where to find the best cupcake. He knew about the hottest running shoe, and he could also tell you how to perfect your kettlebell technique. He was a fan of contemporary gospel, which he considered the ultimate frontier for the singer-singer. He was a fan of the Clark sisters, Kim Burrell, Don Lawrence, Tri-City Singers. It was prophetic that many of the performances that he loved were at memorial services of various fallen singing heroes. No doubt the posting of tonight's performance on YouTube will be on his celestial playlist. He loved justice. He loved to defend the little guy. He got behind the honest ones, the folks that couldn't defend themselves. He was firmly against hypocrisy, closed-mindedness, stupidity, and betrayal. He rode shotgun for poets and singers, misfits, lovers, and fighters. Despite the stresses of his life, he managed to keep a cool head. The bulk of the anger expressed by Greg came out like a stage gag. He loved to use the threat of violence as a dramatic device. A warrior protecting the meek, an expression of the ridiculous, or as an appreciation of the incredible. Conversations would often reference a swift slap to an entitled brat, the opening of a metaphorical can of Act Right, a shoe to toss at an earnest diva, a knife to cut someone who wrote a beautiful song, and always the threat of using a voodoo doll to stab you, simply to amuse a friend who had the nerve to not call back quickly enough. If you had the courage to disagree with Greg, you had to be prepared for both an elaborate baby powder hand prep, oh hell no, and then the inevitable play slap. Despite his education and cultural sophistication, he mischievously fashioned himself a singer's version of a street hustler. He was working it out in the streets, surrounded by his talented stable of singing girls and boys, collecting money and protecting with his fierce strength, his razor wit, and his gentle love. From all walks of life, people gravitated towards Greg's magnetic and dynamic personality. He had lots of rich friendships, both inside and outside of the creative community. He loved all of his friends very dearly. For those of us who were lucky enough to be in his, so nervous. For those of us who were lucky enough to be his friends, he rewarded with the utmost loyalty, guidance, comedy, fellowship, and love. He was a champion for all of us. He was a big guy, a big voice, with a giant personality and a heart to match. He made such a difference to all of us, who he touched with his gentle love. He's so missed by all of us. I hope he's watching tonight with a shoe in his hand.
Hey, everybody. So, Greg was a great catalyst of bringing folks together, as everybody well knows. And I met all of these people on stage through Greg, with the exception of Toya. And he's still bringing folks together because we've met and we're working together today because of Greg. But anyway, Corrine Hanna was one of those people that I met through Greg.
Greg and John were a part of a show that we've been doing for over 2 years together, and we're gonna sing 2 of his favorite songs from the show. He was always so excited to sing these 2.
And this was the verse that he would always sing. I don't know how this whole business started, about you thinking that I hadn't been untrue. But if you think that we'd be better parted, it's gonna hurt me, but I'll break away from you.
Well, just give me a sign and I will be gone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how much I feel for you, baby. How much I need. Well, I need your touch, and how much I live for your loving. 'Cause that's how much, that's how much, that's how much, that's how much. Ooh. You packed in the morning and I stared out the window and I struggled for something to say. You left in the rain without closing the door. I didn't stand in your way, but I missed you more than I missed you before. And now where I find comfort, God knows. 'Cause you left me just when I needed you most. You left me just when I needed you most.
Now most every morning I stare out the window and I think about where you might be. I've written you letters that I'd like to send. If you could just send one to me. Now I need you more than I needed before, and where I'll find comfort,
God knows. 'Cause you left me just when I needed you most.
oh, you.
'Cause you left us just when we needed you most. Just when we needed you most. Just when we needed you most.
Mouse Kennedy, thank you.
We celebrate, yet we also mourn. Here to help us with that mourning process are Chip Williford, Barry Carl, Aisha DeHaas, and Dennis Stowe.
ode to Greg. Memories are fresh in my mind, and silently I cry. The mountain's morning mist reaches even the corners with grief. I'm filled with pain and abysmal emptiness. Tears storm while unanswered questions line up in my mind, even wondering if there was anything, something, signs I missed. It doesn't seem real. We had just spoken of broken bread. He was extremely excited about the future. And now, his life is over. And I remain here stunned, angry, sad, and hurt. Like so many of you, not knowing what to do, desperately trying to find the lesson. I can't hear those old words of comfort folks would always say. Like a fisherman, Greg cast a wide net of hope and dreams as lure. He was a great pollinator. He sprinkled his goodness all over, ensuring a prosperous spring and a bountiful harvest. Skillfully, he juggled as long as he could while double dutch, jump rope, and barbed wire. He took in all that was needed and gave more than was required. Greg had talents beyond compare, a major artery and a life force in the music industry, connecting lives, selecting extraordinary people of vast diversity. He was as generous as the sun-blocking leaves that adorn an old oak tree, and as welcoming and refreshing as the unexpected cool August breeze. Now, the unraveled truth of his feelings, never did he hide. He was very protective of those he loved, open blade at his side. His facial expressions alone could communicate his intent, although he never had problems saying exactly what he meant. Greg was innovative, ambitious, tenacious, and dared to live fearlessly. He expected greatness and accepted nothing less. Although he left us so unexpectedly, he left an indelible legacy. And like so many others who have been touched and changed by the life of Gregory Russell Clark, I will always be grateful for the times we had. His loving, caring, and sharing nature. It is this memory of him that will always be kept alive in my now injured heart. I love you, Greg, and we miss you. Thank you.
שוכן במרומים המצם מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת יקירנו שהלכו לעולמם בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים ויצרור ביצרור החיים את נשמתם אדוני ונחלתם וינוחו בשלום על משכבם ונאמר
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis Stowe. I met Greg around the same time as Aisha in those duplex days, and I have had the pleasure of doing a lot of good hangs with him as well. He's hired me for a couple of gigs over the years, and I've shared the stage with him, and I am honored to be able to celebrate his life here tonight.
I just wanted to add a couple of Greg's favorite sayings to Wendell's. Wendell and Tim, because if you heard it once, you heard it 1,000 times, cause look, cause listen. Okay. Now, you know, in the days that followed Greg's passing, there was a huge outpouring of emotions that found its way onto Greg's Facebook page, and these are just a few excerpts. I was his way upstairs neighbor, a passing in the hallway friend, a long talks on the stoop buddy. I post this for the family, especially to the mama of this kind, big teddy bear of a man. I never did get to indulge in the voice lessons he offered me. We kept planning time, it didn't happen. We planned again, even in the last 2 weeks. I think he just wanted me to sing way out loud. He wanted me to sing joyously, but time at work just edged it all away. I work hard. He worked hard. I'm a nurse by usual trade, and I know he was proud, so proud his mama was a nurse. He'd smile when I'd complain of my ambivalence with health care, the system, the sexism, the classism, and always came back to mention of understanding in the witness of his mother, his hearing and knowing of her work. My love goes out to her and the whole family. She raised a wonderful, loving, big-hearted, and gifted, so very gifted boy. I'll miss my talented, kind, and so generous neighbor. I want his mother and his family to know how sweet and joyful the knowing him was, each encounter.
I miss you dearly, Greg. I had no idea when you texted me around 11:30 the night you passed that your spirit was trying to tell me goodbye. Sorry that all I knew what to say was, wow, take care of yourself, man, loves and hugs. I wish I could have been there with your family yesterday. I will always remember hanging out when we were younger. Tried to jump on your shoulders once to see if I could wrestle you down. Your expression was like that of a bear with a chimpanzee on his back. What the fuck are you trying to do? Please.
I will never forget the first time I met Greg. He was a freshman at UMKC and I was a new graduate assistant. I was directing Connection 2, which was the second vocal jazz group to be started at the university. I was Kirby Shaw's assistant and I was so excited to be teaching this group. Most of my students had never sang jazz before and didn't even know if they liked it. UMKC is a conservatory of music, so it was upper crust in their choice of music. I always thought that this was interesting since most of the famous jazz musicians came out of Kansas City. My group consisted of vocalists who had classical training or no training. Now, Greg was really a challenge. At the time, he sported a Little Richard hairdo and was into rhythm and blues and some of the older rock and roll artists. I can't tell you what I went through convincing him that jazz was worthy of learning. It was like pulling teeth to get him to scat. The funny thing is, he was really good, but wouldn't believe me when I told him so. He was with me for 2 years, and in that time I saw him start to embrace jazz, and in the second year he took off like fireworks. The year after I left, he got into the top group and developed even more. I even had him come to Boise State University in Idaho, where I was teaching, and he and Lamar Holman were the invited performers at my vocal jazz festival. I absolutely delighted in Greg's success throughout his life and talked about him as an example to my classes as to what a person can do if they just put in the effort and really believe in themselves. Although he was here a short time, his star burned bright. I love you, Greg, and I'm grateful for having you as a student. I am a better teacher for knowing you.
Still feeling shocked and disoriented over the passing of Gregory Russell Clark. I know we must all move on someday, but when someone so young with so many plans for tomorrow passes, it rocks you to the core, especially Greg, who always had the biggest plans and the busiest tomorrows. I'm feeling like I'm in a fog right now. He would give me such positive encouragement with raising my boys and navigating the music business. He was crazy and loud and in your face. He really made it his life mission to bring people together. I just spoke to him last week after playing phone tag for a few weeks. I joked with him and I asked him where he had been, and he said, "Don't worry about all that. I'm here right now." I just want to send his family, friends, and all of us who knew him extra love.
I'm having this funny memory of you right now. Made me laugh out loud. I would often get a call from Greg, and he'd say, "Girl, come pick me up. We got things to do." One day, we were running all over town, and he was getting really hungry. So we went to Wendy's for lunch. We got our food and sat down at the table, and the next thing I see is Greg looking at his sandwich like it had just called him a name or something. Pointing and talking to the sandwich, he says, "I'm about to jack you up. You hear me? Good times."
I just found out an old friend, Gregory Russell Clark, passed away. His joyous energy and incredible voice will be remembered by many. So now this quote keeps running through my head. Life is short. We do not have much time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So be swift to love and make haste to be kind. And may the divine mystery, who is beyond our ability to know, but who made us and who loves us and who travels with us, bless us and keep us in peace. Peaceful rest to you, Greg.
What am I supposed to do when I watch Smash? I actually texted you the other night. How's rehearsal going up there? I know you are getting them singers in shape. That heavenly choir wasn't ready for you to come on the scene. Have you slapped anyone yet? All in the name of Jesus and music. I miss you, brother. Sang.
Greg was an amazing singer, arranger, soprano, bass, etc. But what I think really made him so amazing is the way he kept people together. He pretty much built a real community of musicians and artists in New York City. We should somehow continue his legacy of fellowship and friendship. He knew we should all stick together. After all, we are only pursuing one of the hardest careers in the toughest city on this planet.
2 things my kids said this week about Greg that he would have found cute, touching, humorous. The 5-year-old, while throwing a penny in the fountain, "Please make mommy's friend alive again." The 4-year-old, with a huge happy smile across her face. "Hey, mommy, guess what? When you die and go to heaven to get your new body, you can see your friend Greg again. Miss you, Greg."
3 weeks now you've been away, and the wound your passing made in my heart still bleeds freely. I'm sending you this song because a part of me died when I heard you had left us. I'm also sending it because it was the last song we sang together when we were sitting in the parking lot in front of Gates Barbecue on Linwood when you were home last September. You couldn't decide what you were going to get, so you said, "I'll know what I want by the end of this song, and you know whatever it is, it's going to have extra sauce." Extra sauce. Yeah, Greg, that's just like you. You had extra sauce. Love and miss you always.
I dreamed of you last night. Although I don't remember everything, I do remember this. We were walking in front of school, grade school, and we were laughing at my socks, which were slipping down. We were so happy. Then you looked at me and said, "You have to stay here." I said, "Why?" And you told me you had to go. I wasn't sad because you were smiling so big. You walked away, turned to me, and smiled and waved. There was so much peace. Then I woke up. I cried because I'm selfish and I want you here. But I believe you found the peace with God and you are looking down smiling at all of us, our personal angel. Love you, brother.
With a heavy heart, I am sad to say my dear friend and business partner, Gregory Russell Clark, passed away yesterday evening. He was an incredible friend, talent, comedian, YouTuber, pastry gourmand, singer, arranger, contractor, writer, diet guru, career rabbi, running shoe selector, linen connoisseur, 90s R&B expert, and real gospel music enthusiast. I'm sure he is in heaven with his mom and his sister, watching Clark Sisters videos or Tri-City Singers, and eating something delicious. He loved his friends dearly and was at the peak of his career. He loved to be around singers and was a self-described music nerd. He loved to do laundry. He sang with the most successful artists in the world. He has sang on the most important stages, from any of the late-night national TV shows to Carnegie Hall. His voice was featured on countless national and international advertising campaigns. His voice could jump from a Barry White bass to a soaring soprano, though his gorgeous natural range could give you chills. He had a beautiful falsetto and could blend with anyone. He was known to make voodoo dolls, open a can of Act Right, and/or pull a knife if someone was out of pocket. He loved cupcakes, anything from Blue Ribbon, and chicken biscuits from Pies and Thighs. He was a great friend to me when I really needed him. He loved for his friends to meet each other. He single-handedly introduced me to all of my most important clients. He was so generous and loved to help his friends and family. He was loyal as a person could be loyal. He had an incredible laugh, but when he found something really, really wrong, funny, he had an incredible naughty giggle. I will miss that giggle. We love you, Gregory Russell Clark.
One, we have loved him, we have lost him, and we've found him again in our hearts, where he always was and where he always will be. There's something that we want to share with you. Something we did with Greg that we know he'd want you to experience. Sophia.
I'm down here because I want to keep it intimate. We're going to do a prosperity ritual. In January of 2009, Greg and I hosted our first prosperity gathering. The purpose was to empower ourselves with renewed energy towards our financial success in the music business. Greg, being a true singer's emissary, fell in love with this ritual and made sure he hosted the next one. Powerful magic happened, and Greg would have loved to share this with you all. If you open up your programs, there are 3 sheets of paper in your programs. I'm going to ask you to please remove them. Place the thinner sheet of paper, the one that looks like bamboo, and place this sheet of paper in your hands. And I'd like you to take a moment now and close your eyes. And I want you to imbue that paper with any negative feelings, thoughts, beliefs that you're ready to let go of. Imagine those negative vibes attaching themselves to the paper. Please open your eyes. We have these wonderful ushers, all dear friends of Greg, who are going to come down the aisles with bowls and collect your papers.
Don't you wish when you were in church they would come around and collect your negative vibes, you know?
Now, since we're in a public space, we cannot burn these papers here, because that would be the next step. We burn them to get rid of them entirely. So once we've collected all of these papers, the ushers will take them outside, and we will say a little prayer. And after the little prayer, I want you all to say, "So may it be." And that will be the end of that part of the ritual.
I want to stay with it.
Okay, our ushers are on their way out. Thank you, ushers, for doing that on our behalf. So, if we can keep in our minds, the vision of the ushers outside, with all of our negative vibes that we've just now placed in those bowls. Creator, you have made us perfect in your form. Help us to release our negativity so we can be open to the abundance that surround us. So may it be. Now, hold the sheet of paper that says word of positive empowerment. I hope you all got one of those little pencils. And I want you to take a moment now and think about something positive that Greg shared with you, gave you, said to you, that you would like to always remember. In this way, we will be using the positive force of Greg's loving spirit to uplift us and keep us in a place of positivity and abundance in what we do. Now, I want you to listen to the music and let it inspire you to think of this one word or phrase. And please, this is a very simple song. If you want to sing along, by all means, please do. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Let me hear you. I am so blessed. Are you blessed? I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. So, I'm hoping that you've all found that perfect phrase or word and have written it down. And what I'd like you to do is, as we leave the auditorium today, there is a huge mason jar of water out there. And I'd like you to fold this little piece of paper and put it in the jar of water. And if you'd like to also put a small offering, few coins, that is also recommended. This vase of water will be then poured into a body of moving water so that your message will be carried around the world and its positivity shared with others. Now you have another piece of paper that is an affirmation. So I'd like you to take this and read along. Is everybody ready? Okay. And read it loud and clear so that the universe can hear you. I see opportunities for abundance that lie in front of me. Everything and everyone I seek is also seeking me, and I give thanks to Mother and Father God for bringing us together in divine order. I am one with the limitless flow of God's abundance. I give thanks for the abundance that surrounds me. So may it be. And this ends our ritual, but I would also like to add that all of us involved today would like to thank the Clark family for bringing us together to celebrate Greg's life. I also want to thank Matthew Bost, Greg's partner of 10 years, for bringing us together in this lovely auditorium here at Lincoln Center. And last but not least, we would love to thank and take this moment to sincerely thank Janice Pendarvis for all her effort and hard work in putting this lovely memorial program together and getting us, all us singers and musicians together to honor our dear beloved Greg and celebrate in this wonderful community of ours, a community that Greg had an influence in shaping and sharing with so many souls he touched in his life. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you. Well, I've got a lot of business to do in a short period of time, so let me get to it. I need desperately to leave you with some closing remarks. The brief but important and to the point question on so many of our minds after Greg died was, why? Not why as in, what were the medical details? Or why in a gospel, ooh, child, what happened to him kind of way. But why as in, why do the good die young? Why do bad things happen to good people? The other question that I've heard expressed is, what's the point? What's the point trying to live right, eat right, exercise, and get it all done if you could just be snatched away with no notice like Greg was? I don't have an absolute answer for any of those questions. However, I know that those questions are an attempt to find meaning and comfort and understanding. Perhaps, just perhaps, I can give you some comfort food for thought. I believe that there's a grand design to the universe and a grand design for everything in it, including our lives. That design isn't always clear while a person is here with us, but sometimes it's easier to see and understand once they've moved on. Now tonight, we've looked at the incredible and beautiful design of Greg's life. Clearly, his spirit knew he had a lot to do in a short period of time. If anyone was determined to fulfill his purpose on earth, it was our friend Gregory Clark. Greg left us on March 20th, 2012. It was the first day of spring. Spring is a time for new beginnings. Obviously, he had a big new project that even he didn't know he was getting ready to work on. And Greg did like doing things in a big way, and the bigger the better. His email address even started with the term big voice, spelled with 2 G's to emphasize how big his voice was. He had a big voice and an even bigger spirit that had fully expressed all that it needed to do and say on this physical plane. Greg did what he came here to do. He left at the top of his game, having fully completed his work here on earth. So, going back to the question of why? Well, because he finished what he came to do. And maybe part of what he came to do was to leave in a way that would influence and inspire all of us. I can't tell you how many people have told me about revelations they had about themselves and their lives and how they were moved to change for the better because of Greg's death. Think of all the memorials and gatherings that have been held over the past few months in his honor. It's such an amazing and needed coming together of our community. Seems to me that Gregory Russell Clark needed a bigger venue to match the bigness of his spirit. And he's still working his magic on us, even right now. Gregory Clark did what he came to do. The 2 questions that I am left with personally are, what am I going to do? Will I fulfill my purpose? You might want to ask yourself those questions too. And when you do, your answers to those 2 questions should answer the second question I started with. What's the point? The point is that we are here to fulfill our purpose on earth. Striving to fulfill one's purpose is satisfying and in some ways always serves the greater good, I believe. The whole point of trying to live right is to help us see clearly and be strong enough to recognize and fulfill our purpose. So, I embrace you, my friends, my family, my community, as I leave you with this closing thought. No matter how difficult the course, finish the race. No matter how steep the hill, finish the climb. The way we live our lives from now on will be the greatest monument to how truly wonderful Greg was. All right, now to thank yous. On behalf of the Clark family, Matt Boast, and Greg's family of friends, I'd like to thank the New York chapter of the Recording Academy, Mike Chiodo, UMKC Foundation, My Suit, St. Monica's RC Church in Kansas City, Lucy Woodward, Everett Bradley, Nadia Ackerman, and Sophia Ramos for that memorial concert, Stephanie Alexander for organizing a New York dinner, Greg Tapscott for organizing the LA dinner, Stephen Ciccone, Cheryl Raymond, and Mike Dietman, staff here, Marianne Bennett for the backline crew and stage managing, Marlon Saunders for MDing the singers for the Grammy tribute, and to all the singers and musicians who volunteered their time, Tommy Cruz for front of house and sound engineering, Dan Yessian for the song and helping us prepare all the stuff for the song that's going to close this evening. And there are a host of more folks that we want to thank that you'll see in the program. So, responsive reading. It's not in the program because I figured this is easy. I can tell y'all what to say. We could save a few trees. I'm going to say a sentence, and I want you guys to answer with, I will remember you, Gregory Clark. When I hear the soul-stirring sound of a beautiful melody, I will remember you, Gregory Clark. When I gather good friends and colleagues together for good food, fellowship, and good times, I will remember you, Gregory Clark. Every time I reach out with a firm yet gentle and loving helping hand to give someone a chance to advance, I will remember you, Gregory Clark. When I need to gather my strength to win the race on a difficult part of life's course, I will hear the sound of your voice telling me, you better pull it up. I know you can do it. And I will remember you, Gregory Clark. When I long to refresh my spirit, soothe my soul, and start my day with a smile, I know what to do. I will remember you, Gregory Clark. Let us bow our heads and pray. Let us each expand our light and go beyond the boundaries that we have set for ourselves and become more than we each have ever dreamed. In this time of loss, mourning, and sorrow, worldwide crisis and catastrophe, we give thanks for the shelter of our circle of family and friends. Let us rejoice and thank the Spirit for all of its gifts to each of us. May endings become divine and fulfilling beginnings. Amen. All right, y'all. Where my people at? Come on, y'all. Thank you much. This song, there we go. Come on, girl. Oops. It's all right. We just bumping into each other. This song has a story to it that you must hear to understand. Greg and I, we had all these different projects, and one of the projects that we had was something called the Super Section. We wanted to put together a group of singers to be a standing vocal section, like all the different horn sections. And the singers would be people with impeccable credentials, impeccable resumes, and impeccable skills. We did a session in January for Dan Yessian, a song demo where the nucleus of the Super Section sang. It was divine. It's fabulous. And the words to that song so deeply express Greg's philosophy of life. We had another session, the second session for the Super section, the day that Greg passed. So we wanted to close this evening with this fabulous song written by Dan Yessian, background vocals arranged by Gregory Clark, called Taking It Over the Line.
Woke up this morning, a voice in my head said, rise up, shake up the day. It's now or never, forget tomorrow. places anyway. Rivers run deep into the sea. My soul is calling, set me free. Live for the dream, face to the wind. This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. You're taking it over the line. And when you're weary, listen to your heart. This moment is on your own. No second guessing, no looking back now. Hold fast, you're on your way home. On and on, don't let it hide. Follow the sun and turn the tide. Live for the dream, face to the wind. This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. Taking it over the line. You're taking it over the line. Leave your fears behind you. Never mind what others tell you. When you believe in yourself, this will be your time. 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 Live for the dream, face to the wind. This is your life. It's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. The dream, face to the wind. This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. Taking it over. Taking it over the line. You're taking it over the line. This will be your time. This will be your time. This will be your This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. Live for the dream, face to the wind. This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. You're taking the dream, face to the wind. This is your life, it's time to begin. Feeling alive, you're gonna shine. You're taking it over the line. You're taking it over the line. You're taking it over the line. Taking it over. You're taking it over the line.
For a Kansas City barbecue. Fellowship and refreshments. Right.
little white paper?
Sure do.
The one we had brunch or something, or dinner, yeah.
No, I didn't. I saw. You didn't see that one? No, I didn't.
Imagine what I could do if I had a budget.
Yes, was it?